I'm so glad you found my podcast, New Friends. I'm Jordana. I just turned 20. I live in Nashville. I actually moved here right after high school to chase my dream of being a singer-songwriter, which basically means that I skipped the whole college thing and dove headfirst into trying to make music and make sense of life at the same time. I started New Friends because I wanted to create the kind of space I've always needed, a place to talk about the things we're all trying to figure out. Friendship, confidence, self-worth, following your own path, and everything in between. Some episodes are solo, some are with guests. Sometimes the conversations even turn into songs. But every episode is rooted in honesty and vulnerability, and feeling a little less alone. I'm so happy you're here. Welcome to New Friends. Hey, welcome back to another episode of New Friends. I'm Jordana Bryant. Today I wanted to talk about being single. I have been single for all 20 years of my life, so I would say I'm kind of an expert. And I know that 20 is still young to find your person. But I think for a while I felt like, gosh, am I the only one who has never been in a relationship? And at this age, shouldn't I have had a boyfriend? And yeah, I know 20 isn't that old. So, plenty of people find their person much later. And plenty of people don't ever find someone, even if it's not their final person. Plenty of people are never in a relationship until, they're older. But I think I always felt kind of weird that I had never had a boyfriend in high school. I'm college age and I still haven't had a boyfriend, and I think it made me feel is there something wrong with me? Am I not desirable? Am I not pretty enough? Am I not cool enough? Clearly it's me. If I've never been in a relationship and all these other people have, and they've all been able to find someone who likes them, why haven't I? It must be something about me. But I've been trying to reframe that as it's not always that the reason you haven't been in a relationship isn't because you haven't found someone who wouldn't date you. Sometimes it's because the person you're looking for you haven't found yet. And it is true when you have when you know what you want and you have standards and you're not willing to settle for something, people can tell that. And also it's you're not going to take something that you don't is less than you deserve, so sometimes it's harder to find your person. And I think that in a world of casual relationships, when you know that you want something serious, sometimes it does take longer to find that. And I think also okay, my mom always says this and I always would think it's so cheesy, but she's boys can tell when you're marriage material, they're not gonna try to have a casual relationship when they know you're marriage material. I'm yeah, thanks, Mom. It's really nice of you. But I do think that when you know confidently that you want something serious, and you're not gonna take something casual, I do think that that's obvious to people, and they're not gonna approach you about something casual because they know that that's not something you'd be interested in. So I do think that's true. And I also think more of us than we realize have not been in a serious relationship. It can feel like everyone has. Literally, when you hear people talk about their exes and being in a long-term relationship and none of that is relatable for you, it can feel wow, so literally everyone has had someone except for me. Cool. But also I think that's not a very accurate picture, because people, want to talk about it when they're in a happy relationship, or when they're going through a breakup. Sometimes people want to talk about that too. People don't really want to talk about, I am single and I have always been single. Sometimes I wonder if I always will be single. It's not a cool conversation starter. So I feel we don't hear that as much. So it can feel more like you're the only one, but you're not. And I do think too, part of it is just like situations. Sometimes like you're not in situations where it's easy to meet people, you know? I was not a very like outgoing high schooler, teenager. I was pretty shy, and I also like wasn't really confident in myself. Like I was struggling with the way I looked. I didn't feel pretty. I didn't feel confident in myself or my body. So I think as much as I was like, I'm open. I'm open to someone coming into my life. I want someone to come into my life. Like I want a relationship. Like I think subconsciously I was afraid of that. And I was actually closed off to that because I wasn't ready for someone to like look at me and to see me and to really get to know me. Like I was still struggling with, my own insecurities. And I think that people can somehow subconsciously tell when you're confident and you're like ready for attention and you want that and when you don't, you know? So I think that as I started to work on my own inner confidence, I found that like more people that, because before no one ever really asked me out. Like no one asked me out in high school. So once I started like working on my confidence, I feel like that helped me, be open to things. And I also like didn't have a ton of friends in high school, so it's not like I was going out with my friends. I would do things with my parents, but obviously no guy ever came up to me when I was with my parents. It was like, hey, what's your name? So surprising. I don't know why. It's a mystery to me. No, but like, it takes a lot for someone to go up to you and they're not going to do that. Like when you're with your parents, obviously. Like I feel like the most natural is when you're with a group of friends or when you're with a friend somewhere. Like then maybe someone will go up to you and, ask for your number or whatever. But when I moved to Nashville, I'd finished high school a year early. I moved to Nashville when I was 16, about to turn 17. Everyone I was meeting was in their 30s. So or like late 20s. So that would have been very much illegal if one of them asked. Not if one of them asked me out. I guess you could like ask someone out who's a minor, but like it's just weird. And like if we were dating, I'm pretty sure that's illegal, But it's weird nonetheless. So no one asked me out, which thank goodness. But as I started to like get older and make more friends and go out with my friends and also just become more confident in who I was and like in myself, I found that, finally I would have conversations with people and, I started going on some dates and I went on some first dates, but I still never found someone who, we both were mutually into each other. I felt like the guys I liked were very like hot and cold, off and on, like they weren't really interested. And maybe that's what I liked about them, I guess. Maybe I liked that it was so exciting. It was so like, I never knew where I stood. And so obviously nothing ever came about from those situations. And then the guys that were, strongly interested and that made it apparent that they, were invested in this and that they wanted to get to know me. As bad as it sounds, I think I found that boring. And I didn't like feel a spark with them. And I think the right person, you find that really attractive when they are into you and they don't play games and they like show you that they're into you. And I think the right person, like that feels exciting with, not boring. But I also found it too like a little overwhelming because I'm very much a people pleaser. So I would hate to go on a date and then, the guy wanted to go on a second date and I wasn't feeling the spark and I didn't know how to say that. Like that was so uncomfortable for me. So that was a skill that I had to learn for sure. And like how to be like, hey, I think you're really awesome. But like, I think we would, I'm kind of feeling more friend energy here. And it's really awkward and you don't want to have that conversation, but like, it's a lot better than ghosting someone. But so like sometimes even when you do go on dates, like you just don't find your person for a little while. And yeah, it's definitely very easy to feel like, okay, so it's me. It's like something about me that people don't like, that like clearly because everyone else has a boyfriend or a girlfriend and I don't. But I also feel like, I don't know, if I know that the right person is out there, then like I have to trust that whenever it doesn't work out or if I haven't found them yet, that's just like how it's supposed to be. And I have to like do my part of just like trying to still work on myself and become a better version of myself so that I'm ready for that relationship when it does enter my life, and still like put myself in situations and like go on dates like where I might meet my person, and trust that like the rest is kind of out of my hands, because it's, I mean, like finding your person is such a, you can't do it yourself. People can call it coincidence. I believe it's fate. I believe it's God and, you know, putting the right person into your life. But the way people meet, I mean, the way my parents met, they met on New Year's Eve in Colorado on a ski trip. Like, they weren't from the same cities. They would have never met if it, you know, wasn't divinely orchestrated, I believe. Like, they couldn't, you know, like, that's just something that you can't predict or plan or, like, create yourself. So, I think that, like, I just kind of have to trust that, like, what I've kind of come to the realization is I have to trust that the right person is out there, and, like, at the right time I'll meet him. But I guess all that's to say is, like, as much as it can not be fun when you feel like everyone else has their person and you just want someone to, like, make you feel pretty and someone to take you out and someone to hold your hand and do all those things, as much as it can be really not fun to not have that and to feel like you're missing out and like you're on the outside, I think a lot more of us feel that than we realize. And also maybe it just means that the person out there that's meant for you is so special that it's just, and your relationship is going to be so special that it's just taking more time, you know? And I think that, like, the songwriter in me, like, wants to experience all of it, because, like, I want to know what it's like to be in love, and I kind of also want to know what it's like to be heartbroken and to, like, go through a breakup. Maybe that's weird, but I just, like, I want to know, you know? Like, I want to know. So if you feel that, if you feel like you really just want someone to want you and you want to experience a relationship and experience love, know that you're not the only one feeling that, and that there are lots of us who are still waiting to find our person, but that doesn't mean that they're not out there. And maybe they're coming sooner than you think. You never know when you're going to meet your person, you know? So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I had a great time, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! Thank you so much for watching this episode of New Friends. I really hope you enjoyed it. It would mean so much to me if you would subscribe to my channel on YouTube and send this to someone who you think might enjoy it. Hope to see you in the next episode. Bye!